Morning. How is everybody today? It's a beautiful day down here in the south coast of England. Hi Alison. Anybody watching on Facebook? Bit quiet this morning. Hi Christine. I'm sorry your weather's not so good. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Sometimes it's really nice and then 5 seconds later it blows a storm. The clouds aren't moving too quickly today though, so we might be all right here. So we're going to look at some of the Fairy Hugs products that have been featured on Create and Craft tomorrow. And Tanya is demonstrating again because that's what Tanya is the new demonstrator for Fairy Hugs, and she's been on a few times now. Hi Jess. Yes, so the shows tomorrow are at 9 AM and 1 PM, and it's a selection of stamps, dies, stencils and paper pads from Fairy Hugs. There's a bit of everything. Some of the products you might not have seen before because obviously Fairy Hugs bring a new release out most months, and we don't often get to see repeats. Hi Kathleen. So to start with, while everybody's jumping on, let's show you a few samples of some of the products that that are on the show. So some of the samples you'll have seen already. I won't sort of linger too long. So this is one of mine. We'll do mine first, then we'll just go through the DT. I must say, it's been a very, very short turnaround time. We've only had a few days to work with the stamps. I think we found out last Friday what was going to be on the show, and obviously we had to send the stuff off to the studios on Monday, so we haven't had long to work with them. So we've got the black thistles there, or teasels as we might call them in this country, and that's Lila and Robin, who are one of the early dancing fairies. They're more like pixies because they've got little antennae there. And we've got the flower fairy and fairy flower and the fairy flower accessories, which have been on a few times actually, and obviously they work really well with Nala and Ed. This is Malia. She's one of the early fairies, and I'll be using her today with the stone pedestal and one of the bunnies. And we've got a stencil in the background which is called the Fairy Stars. This is Jayla. She's also one of the early fairies that you might not have seen before. And the dragonfly is called Cedric, and Nyla's coming to have a look to see what's going on. This is one of the dies on the show. This is your Bellflower Villa, and little Moana is chatting to one of the little bunnies there, and you've got the meadow grass coming down below at the top. This is the other die that's on the show. I'm not actually going to, I don't think I'm going to use the dies in this particular demonstration, just because, well, with this one, I think it works really well with paper piecing, which is what I've done that here. I've layered and I've paper pieced, which is, I think that needs to be a separate video, which I'll try and do at some point. And we've got Leela there coming in from Leela and Robin and various foliage. That's the foliage there on the top right and bottom left is actually the ivy seaweed. So it's one of the under the sea stamps, but it works very well over the top on land. And I've used the flutter dust coming out of the chimney. That's been unavailable for a while, so it's nice to see that one back again. Hi Susan, hi Judy. This is Elena, and she was actually bought out with a stamp called the Pond, and the pond's got a little frog with it, and she does have like a little critter or which could be like a little circle of water which comes from her finger there, but it's easy to mask it off. And she's sitting on the edge of the fairy teacup. There's quite a few fairies that can work with the fairy teacup, including Peking Tori and the dragon Peking Alfred, and obviously Nigel, the little mouse with the tea bag, works really well with that, as you'll see in a moment. And then obviously Nala and Ed just want to see all what's going on all of the time. Again, fairy flower, and you've got Jayla there with one of the bunnies. And we're going to do this kind of technique in the background during the demonstration today, but I'm going to use some different stamps. I was tempted to use the same stamps, but we're going to use different stamps because I like doing different things. So that's Nigel, who is dipping his tea bag in the teacup. You can mask off that tea bag if you want to, as you'll see with some Art Angels samples. So those are mine. Then Bonnie's done a few, but she's done videos with her. You won't see any of Bonnie's samples in the studio because the notice was too short to get Bonnie having to have time to make stuff and then get it over in time. She's used here the Bellflower Villa, and there's a video to go with each of Bonnie's makes, and you'll find the video channel on YouTube, which is the Fairy Hugs store on YouTube, so you'll find them over there. So she's, I'm not sure what it looks like, she's decoupaged it up there, but anyway, watch the video, and she's got some of the black thistles in the background. It's sure to be a great video. And this is another video from Bonnie with the fairy flower and some of the ivy seaweed, and she's been stamping, doing kind of watercolour techniques with the stamps, so it's quite an interesting different look to it. This one I think is tremendous. This one's gone live today. The depth that Bonnie's got with the bulrushes there is amazing, and she's got Cedric and the Magical Dots stencil. Then we've got a couple of journal pages from Jess. Now Jess hasn't got many of the stamps that are on the show. It was, like I say, the time was too tight for me to send her anymore. But you can see from, you've got Nigel there on the teacup, but that's the sunflower there is from the sunflower table, and that works really well with it. So throughout the Fairy Hugs range, you'll see that lots of stamps from the collections mix and match really, really well. She's used the meadow grass, which is on the show. Once Upon a Time Once Upon is a sentiment that isn't on the show, and also the tea collage, that panel there in the background, that's not on the show. But all of the products that you'll see are actually available on my website. I think Jess has used the Pebble, what's it called, Pebble Beach stencil there instead of the Magical Dots, but you could use either one there in the corners, but you will find everything. So here she's used the mice, which aren't on the show, and also the magical mushroom stencil, but the BU sentiment that is stacked diagonally across there is actually on the show. So a couple of journal pages there. That's all right, Sue. These are all Art Angels, and you'll see with Art Angels samples she has mixed and matched quite a bit with some of the older ones. So we've got the I think that's the flower vines at the top coming down, but everything else is on the show. And she thinks outside the box really well. My brain doesn't work very well at the moment, so I'm not thinking out the box very much. But she's got great flow there with the black thistles and Cedric there. Here we've got Curlig, the dragon, and she's used the heart from the Flairy Flower accessories to be hanging from the vines up there at the top, which is really cool. And then we've got Robin, the fairy. This is really clever, isn't it? This is using the stems from the fairy flower and also the leafy canoe, not the leafy canoe, what's it called, the rowboat, that one, upside down with Winston the dog. So that's made a really good kind of shelter for him. That's tremendous. Here we've got Jayla and we've got Nigel there, and you can see that Art Angel's taken the tea bag and given it to Jayla and taken it off of Nigel. Here's Malia, and I didn't think about her leaning on the teacup, but absolutely you can. She leans. And one of the and you'll see with quite a few of Art Angel's samples, she's used the fairy flower accessories in different ways, and the accessories there, the present, is just kind of dipping in the teacup. Another one very similar, but the little parcels at the side of the teacup. Then we've got this is Leela, and she's holding a couple of the fairy flower accessories there, and she's just on the edge of the teacup. The teacup's such a useful stamp. Cedric's flying in, and again Leela balancing on the I keep on saying teasels because somebody called them teasels. They're black thistles. Here that's quite a nice atmospheric piece there with Ed probably hurting his fingers. Because cats have fingers. So my cat has fingers. He has fingers and thumbs. He can open all sorts of cupboards. Here we go again. Lila and Robin. Curlig. Jayla holding Nigel this time. And that's really cool, isn't it? Having the teacup on its side. It's fallen over. Lots of the fairy flower accessories dotted around on this one. And just Cedric coming in at the bottom. Another one, Cedric's wings, giving a bit of foliage on the edge. And then the next few are really just using isolated stamps that are on the show, but showing that they work with lots of different things that are in the catalogue. So Ed here is obviously, that little birdie's from Woodland Flight. And that's the Stardust, that kind of swirl of stars. And so he's obviously playing with that because he can. And we've got rugged pines in the background and the willow vines as well. Here we've got the teasels there, and the orb stencil in the background, and the fairy couple. And I can't remember the name of the octopus. It's not no, it's not an octopus. It's like a squid thing. It's not a squid. It is a squid, yeah. It's one of the under the sea there that she's got the foliage at the bottom of. Sorry, I meant to look that up. Here we've got Ed on one of the icebergs playing with the walrus. Of course he is. I've got that twice. I must have liked that one. This is the gnome door with one of the mice sitting on top of it. And finally, Ed's sitting on one of the... can't remember the name of that mushroom either. Do you know, there's so many stamps in the Fairy Hugs range, it's very difficult to remember. It's not ink cap mushrooms. Can't remember. Sorry. Anyway, so those are all the samples so far. There's going to be obviously lots more, and like I say, Tanya is demonstrating now. Over on my website, which you all know what it is, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, you will find 10% discount on items that are on the show, because they're not new, so I'm allowed to discount them for you. So the discount is valid from now until midnight on Sunday, or while stocks last. Now, I don't have a deep stock because these are older stamps, and obviously the catalogue's quite big now. So obviously when it's a new release and nobody's got the stamps, then I have a bigger stock. But you know, I don't know how many of you have got the stamps already. So spoiled mushrooms, thank you, Jess. Yes, so there's not such a big stock because it's an older stamps. And so if you enter discount code HUGS10 in the discount code box at checkout, not the note on order, but the discount code box at checkout, you will see your amount that you need to pay adjusted down by 10%, and that's how you know it's worked. Everything that is on my website is in stock now because I had a delivery yesterday, so you won't be waiting for anything. Hi, Jean. So that's that. You will also find the stamps, if you're outside the UK, you'll find them at fairyhugs.com for worldwide shipping. But obviously, if you're in the UK, you don't want to buy them from Fairy Hugs because you're going to get hit with import duty, maybe VAT, and maybe a Royal Mail handling charge, which last time I paid it was £8. So, you know, don't do that. Buy it from me. And if there's anything out of stock, just click on the email when available button, and you'll be notified as soon as I have it. Right, as I said, I'm probably not going to use the dies that are on the show in this demo, but I have got them cut out for you to show you. So this is your Bellflower Villa, and there it is on just cut out in white card on black, which is always what I used to do when I used to do the shows. And it is in old money, it's approximately 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Okay, and obviously you've got little ladders going on there. You can put like pearls in the centers of the flowers if you want to. It's great for all your dweller type stamps, or your little fairies, because they can be, you know, dotted around here. So that's that one. And then we've also got your garden cottage. This is very similar in size. I've only got one of these left. I think I've got two with the Bellflower Villa and one of these left. So that's it. This is just shy of 3 3/4 by just over 3.5. So it's roughly the same size as the Bellflower Villa, but it does lend itself to quite a bit of snipping, as you can see there. So for that one, I've cut the whole thing out in green, then I cut the whole thing out in that terracotta kind of colour, and then I've snipped away all of the foliage, and then I cut it out again in purple and paper and pieced in all the other bits, and then in the centres of the flowers I've just added a stardust pen. So it's really easy to do, but it's a little bit time consuming when we come to demos, which is why I don't tend to paper piece, and I never used to do that on the telly very much either. Right, let's crack on with a demo. Oh, dropped Ted. Sorry, Ed. He's asleep, obviously. Ed says hi. That's not him now. Him now is that. He's so funny. Right, so what we're going to do first of all is I've chosen a paper from the Rainbow Dance paper pad, which has got lots of vibrant colours in it. It is one of the paper pads that's on the show, so you can get your 10% discount on that on my website. Again, 6x6, 24 double-sided sheets, 24 designs, 2 sheets of each, and it's 216 GSM. Now, I actually do like the fact that it's double-sided, because it's very good, very thick quality, and it does mean if you make a right mess of it, you can just go on the other side. And of course you can, because of the way that this particular paper is, you can decide where you want to have things. I think I might have it put that way up. And first of all, we're going to do a little bit of stenciling. So we're going to use the Magical Dots stencil. And we're just going to add some dots here, there and everywhere. Well, maybe not everywhere, but just a few dots. So we're going to go for Wilted Violet. And I'm using Distress ink rather than Distress Oxide. Eddie's spoilt to death. We've just bought him a new scratching post for the conservatory, which is my lounge, because he was sharpening his claws on the sofa, because it's Catherine and Tom's old sofa while I figure out what I want. And it's a material that cats like to scratch. So I bought him a new scratching post, which he can't pull over because it's very sturdy. I'm just going to do it on the right hand side, I think. I'm going to leave the green area as it is. Like that. So we've got some dots going on. Obviously you can't see them down here, which is absolutely fine. I'm cool with that. Ed's very happy. Ed's very happy. It's spoilt to death. So we have a plan. Let's see if I'm just figure out if I need to add any more ink, because I was planning this morning. Right, so we've got Curlig, who's the one of the dragon that's on the show. And I think he's going to go kind of here, like that. And we've also got the fairy flower, but let's not use the whole thing. I think what we're going to do is put it up here and have Curlig sitting on it, like that. And then Ed's going to come along, and Ed's going to want to play with him, maybe. I've got the black thistles. And they're going to be coming down from the top, and then hanging from those we're going to use the fairy flower accessories. Might not be a sentiment on here because there might not be room. That's the plan. Okay, so let's do the fairy flower first. Okay, I've treated myself to a new paper, which I'm going to immediately make a mess of in my stamping platform. Let's butt it right the way up into the corner. Hopefully I'll cut it up. God, this drives me nuts. I can't cut straight for the life of me. That's better, because if it's not cut straight, it doesn't go into the corner. I don't know why I can't cut straight at the moment. Right, let's grab our fairy flower and get that stamped. So it's going to come in kind of like that, I think. Let's make sure we've got enough room for Curlig. Oh, plenty of room for Curlig. We might even get a sentiment or something else going up the top. Yes. Right. Make sure it's butted, because I will probably have to stamp it twice, but we'll see. So these papers, if you don't know, if you've not used them, I kind of say they're kind of semi-coated, because they're nice and smooth, and the ink, it does take the ink beautifully, but it does kind of doesn't sit on the top, but it takes a while to dry. And as it doesn't absorb the ink, it means that you actually quite often get a good stamping first of all. I'm using Purple Delight to stamp this rather than a black, because Curlig's going to be in black, and I want its tail to be over the top. Give it good old inking. Now I do have all of the re-inkers for all of the colours except for Nocturne, which is the black, in stock on my website. So if you've got a favourite colour of VersaFine Claire, I suggest you buy them before I run out, because if it's anything like the Nocturne, it's going to be almost impossible to get some more. I did get an email from the supplier to say that they were back in stock, the Nocturne, and when I went to get them, they weren't. So that's how quick they go. Which is really annoying. Give the ink a chance to settle in. Give it a good old press. And see where we're at. That's a good impression. Really good. Happy with that. Okie dokie. That goes in that one. So I put all mine, I slit the top and I put the number and what it is, and then when I'm flicking through I put them all in number order and I can find which one I want. That works for me. I need to do the same thing with my stock actually, because there's so many stamps now that sometimes it takes me ages, and I sorted them into like fairies and foliage and trees and abodes and animals and all that sort of thing, and it still takes me ages to find them. I'm gonna have to figure out something else, some other way of doing it. Maybe I'll put those in number order, but then I have to look up what the numbers are if I can't remember what they are, because I don't know. It doesn't just no easy way to deal with it. Right, so his legs, let me have a look. This is a new stamp, this one. I have used Curly before, but this is a new stamp, so I think we'll have him there. So he's perched on this particular petal. Okay. I'm not too worried if he's not perfectly perched, because he's got wings. And he's going in black. So this is Nocturne Versafire, okay. All of the ink pads are in stock as well. I've added a bit of glitter on there. How can I add glitter on a brand new stamp? Right. I didn't check that it was pressed up into the corner, so that's a little bit annoying. Obviously I'd colour in his wings, but I'm not going to do that right now. It is optional, of course, because he could have transparent wings, so you don't have to colour them in if you don't want to. Yeah, Jean, I understand what you're saying. I suppose for you, because I pull them out according to number for when we're doing shows and things. I suppose for you, you could actually sort yours into types, couldn't you? So that might make it quicker for you. Just an idea. I do need to do them again. Remember, this is a new stamp. So I had to send Tanya mine, so she had something to work with. Right, so you know, I know I need to concentrate on that area there. I just hope that everything didn't move. And obviously, because he's sitting on the fairy flower, I want that black to be nice and deep anyway, so that the black goes over the purple. That's fine. He looks good. I'll hold him up so you can see him. He's a very smart dragon, very elegant dragon. There are lots and lots of dragons. Talking of dragons, a very popular one in the last release was Teague in the kind of book release #2. And I did get restocks yesterday as well. So things like the Reading Dwellers that were out of stock, and Book of Blooms and Teague, and some of the others. They're back in stock now. That's Curlig. Have I thrown Ed on the floor again? Oh, his packet. Yes. Right. So I was wondering whether I want to actually have Ed sat on anything. I think I'll just leave him as he is. I don't think I'll add any ground to that one. Let's have him over here. Let's make sure that's into the corner this time. And I do tend to do Ed in black. I mean, he's going on a dark background, so we'll have him on nice and black. And obviously Ed is ginger. I don't have a ginger ink pad. Not in VersaFine Clear anyway. Maybe I should do one just for Ed. Alison on Facebook is saying her stamps are in a trolley and in categories, various flowers, etc. Still takes a while to find the one I want. Yes, it would do, because there's so many of them now. I think we're around about 560 or something in stamps. So that's quite prolific, isn't it? Berry Hugs will be 3 in August this year, so they're just over 2.5 years old. So that's quite good going, isn't it? So there's our Ed. Let's see. Oh, there we go. There he is. You can see I don't really clean them very much. Occasionally I do. If I wanted to stamp him in, even though I wouldn't, in yellow, I would absolutely have to clean them off first. There is there's the Indigo Blue Easy Peasy stamp cleaner, which I've run out of stock of, but you can get them from Indigo Blue, and that's a really good one. Right, so let's do our thistles now at the top. You're not seeing others' comments, probably because not many people are commenting, Jean. So it's not just you. I think it's quite quiet out there today. There's not many people watching, which is a little bit disappointing. But hey ho. Right, so thistles. There's 2 different sizes in the black thistles, so it's quite nice to kind of mix them up a little bit. So let's go for a big one on the edge. Where's my long block? I did see it earlier. There you are. This is a well-loved and well-used stamp set. So I think we'll have it coming down like this, just like that. And we'll have them, although they're black thistles, let's not have them in black, let's have them in a different colour. Shall we? We could go for the purple again. Or we could go for a slightly different purple. So we could go for, actually, let's go for Fantasia, which is a really dark purple. So you might not actually be able to tell the difference. This is a relatively new ink pad. So let's have this coming down like that. So we go off the page a little bit. And then actually I want to, a minute. Swapping over all the time. Let's get another block out. All my Sentimentally Yours blocks with the smaller one. Right, so Judy on Facebook is saying she's got her stamps in zipper pockets in 4 A5 folders: fairies, dragons, animals, flowers, foliage, trees, specific collections and others. That's very well organised, isn't it? Very well organised. And let's go for a smaller one up here and slightly overlap it. Like that. And then a big one again. This takes quite a while actually to do this. Obviously we're stamping individually. I'm leaving it on the platform just so that I've got a cushion. Let's have that. Actually, let's go smaller again, as in higher rather than smaller. And then I'll stick this bigger one. And obviously it doesn't look much at the moment because we're in the platform and you've got all the gunk around you. Let's go pick again there. Do I want to do more than that? Actually, I might just stick like that. Let's have a look. We'll fetch it out and have a look and see whether I like it. Just to one side a minute. I might do something up there in a minute. I go a bit too overboard sometimes. Let's put some of the fairy flower accessories hanging from it, because that's what Ed's after. So amazingly there are 4, and there are 4 teasels, but we don't have to use all of them if we don't want to. So we can have, let's not have one right in front of Curly's face. So you might find that a little bit annoying. Although let's just do 3 for now, and then I might continue with the teasels a bit more. And we do those in a lighter purple. So Fantasia is the darkest one. It's almost like a bluey purple. It's really dark. It's almost like medieval blue. Excuse me. Let's do it in Monarch, which is kind of in between Purple Delight and Fantasia. Yeah, Jean, if you've got if you've got 25 years worth of stamps, you might want to have a clear out of what you don't use anymore, so you can buy more stash. Okay, so there we've got our fairy flower accessories hanging from the teasels, just the 3 of them. Remember, you get 4 in the set. It's good to have your fairy hug stamps separately, isn't it? I've got mine in 3 boxes and I'm heading for another box, but I need to actually find space to put another box. Obviously, because now my room is my post room, my storeroom and my craft room. So it's like a 3-in-1 room. So we're getting there, we're getting there. Right, let's get these teasels again. We might add a sentiment, we might. No, where's Fantasia gone? There it is. Make sure I use the right colour. This is the smaller of the two stamps. Obviously, I don't want to interfere with curling too much. I'm going to bring that bigger one in, I think. So this is the stamp that I used for Leela and Robin to be wandering over. Okay, let's see what we're looking at now. If I can get a sentiment on. There is one small sentiment on the show, I think. So we've got Be You, Believe, there's a big one. Every Day is an Amazing Adventure, I think is going to be too big. It's not going to fit in there, but what we do have is About You. There is a magic about you that is all your own. So we could have that perhaps there, and he's looking at the sentiment. Like so. It's nice to have the sentiment, whether it fits or not. Fantasia, yeah, that one, and we'll go back to black. I mean, I find fairy hook stamps incredibly relaxing to use. You know, even if you've just got like half an hour, you can pull out some stamps and you can make something that's really nice, especially if you've got one of the paper pads, because you're good to go with your background straight away. And also it's quite good actually if you just pull out a selection of stamps and kind of challenge yourself to make several projects, whether they be tags, cards, journal pages, canvas, whatever, out of just that selection of stamps. So obviously when we're given kind of a show list, that's what we have to do. But you could narrow your selection, because I think there's 34 products on the show this time, but you might not want to pull that many out. So there we are. They're precious, are they? Gosh. I just had to clear some things out. Even though I didn't want to, I had to. Right, so here we go. So if we move that out of the way, and obviously I'll colour it in. So there we've got our first project. I mean, if you wanted to, you could perhaps, I don't know, stamp something down here. We could really go overboard actually if we wanted to. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just go over the top and ruin it because we can. Let's just pull some foliage in. So we don't have to go over the top. There's this one called Meadow Grass, which is quite an open one. Let's just see my neighbour. Right. And you can just add some of this just for a bit of foliage down the bottom. block's not quite big enough, but it doesn't matter. So let's go for a bit of rainforest, which is a lovely rich green. There's obviously a bit of ink on the lid. And we just need the top of the stamp. I'll show you in a minute. And we can just add a bit of foliage at the bottom. See, I always go off plan a little bit, so it can look like they're in amongst the meadow grass. I didn't think that would be just over it a bit, and just a little bit on the side. There we go. That's a bit better, I think. It's got a bit of foliage at the bottom now as well. There's a lot of black thistles at the top. There we go. There's your project number 1. Done that. What do you agree, Alison? Alison. It is the best therapy, absolutely. They really are. You know, if you're feeling down, or if you if you're just tired, you know, I'm constantly tired. So I don't sleep very well with my knees. But yeah, if you're tired, it just kind of lifts you a little bit. It gives you a bit of boost, more energy, because I suppose because you're thinking about stuff. Craft is such a wonderful thing to have as a hobby, really. Right, I'll leave them black thistles on them there, because I might use them again. Right, so number 2. Let's move this out of the way. Clear the decks. Everybody all right? Hello, Bonnie. Bonnie's up. She's not had a long lie in. She is in the States. So we're going to recreate this kind of background, but we're going to use some different stamps on top. So I thought it might be nice to show you how I did this. Very straightforward. And it's a variation on a theme, really. I always like to do the kind of inky background kind of designs, and sometimes they're in panels. Sometimes the panels are a bit skew-if. Sometimes I do them. What do I do them? There's another way I do them. Oh, I can't remember. Right, anywho. So this particular stencil is one of the Sentimentally Yours ones from donkeys years ago, absolutely ages. And you got there were 2 in a pack, 2 different shapes, and you got the fallout pieces as well, which are quite useful as well. So you can't get them anymore, but you can easily do yourself any shape stencil and any size by using your dies and just using the waste. So you just use normal card, and you can use it quite a few times before it gets too wet and you need to replace it. So this is just shy of the actual card size, and I'm going to actually take some Scotch low tack tape. It's not magic tape, it's the low tack one, the blue box. And we're going to just pop that over there like so. Hopefully that's grabbed it. And then we're going to add some ink in the centre. Now on this one, which we're looking at, sorry, I didn't show you, did I? That's what I've done. This is the stencil, and I've just made a flap. Oh, he's on the wrong picture. Oh, dear. Yes, so anyway, so I'm going back to that. What I used on that one is I used the new Lost Shadow, and I used Kitsch Flamingo. So on this one I'm going to use something slightly darker so you can hopefully see it better. So we're going to go for Saltwater Taffy first of all, which is one of my all-time favourite colours. And I've got a bit of green on here, which is really annoying. This is one of the Studio Lights blending brushes. I have a few of this size left, the big ones, but not many. So we're going to add some colour. See, with the Lost Shadow is incredibly light. So it takes quite a long time, Ed here, it takes quite a long time to build them up with the Lost Shadow, which is another reason why I thought I'd go for Saltwater Taffy, because it doesn't take so long to build up the colour. And, oh, flip, nearly swore then. Okay, let's put it back again, stay where you are, thank you. Yes, oh, by the way, Ed, the cat from Fairy Hugs, is named after my cat. Just so you know, if you didn't know. Right, so we've got a nice circle there of Saltwater Taffy. And then we're going to go for Spice Marigold, which is just a darker version, darker orange. And we're going to take the Magical Vines stencil from Fairy Hugs. I'm going to pop that underneath. Now, with the vines, remember vines don't grow that way, but it doesn't mean that you can't use the stencil that way. You can absolutely use the stencil that way if you want to, but ideally you want to use it either that, like that, or like that. So these are going down or up. But obviously these are going down and that's going up, whichever you want. Anyway, just bear that in mind. And we're just going to slot that underneath there like so, and I'm going to actually grab another piece of tape on the bottom, just so that he doesn't move, because obviously this is more of a intricate stencil. If we can anchor it a little bit more, that'd be fab. Yeah, it's been a long time since these kind of shape stencils were out. Obviously it's when Phil was with Creative Expressions, so that's been quite a long time ago. Right, so I'm just going to add some Spice Marmalade over the top. I do want the colours to be light. Just if you're stamping over the top, you don't want to go for really big bold colours. Unless you just have a light application, which of course the blending brushes allow you to do that. But I am actually quite heavy-handed. I'm quite impatient as well. I can't spend half an hour building colour up. So the actual vines themselves, so the solid part of the stencil, they will be with the first colour, so they will remain as Saltwater Taffy. But obviously we've added the Spice Marmalade at the top, so your background, if you like, for the stencil is going to now be Spice Marmalade. Obviously, if you wanted to do it so that you could do the vines, you could do the base layer as green, and then go perhaps over the top, so a pale green, something like old paper perhaps. And then you could go over the top with something like, I don't know, tumbled glass, or even go as deep as broken china over the top, and then you'd have the sky around the vines if you wanted. So that should be enough. Winston the dog is a great stamp, yes, Jean. So is Lola. Who's the other dog. Right, that. So obviously I've got ink on that tape, so you can either use it for some more stenciling or obviously, unfortunately, just bin it. And the ink's going to come off just under the tap. So now we have your stamped background. Got a mark on my screen, it's gone now. Okay, so obviously you can do that with okay, Jean, no problem. So obviously, you know, different stencils are going to look different, different colours, but it's a really nice background to have. So now we're going to stamp over the top. And as I've used Distress ink rather than oxide, I'm not worried about going off of the page, because remember, if you stamp off of oxide, the ink is going to be a different colour to what's on oxide, if that makes sense. So for the plan on this one, what we've got is we've got Melia, and she's going to be leaning on the stone pedestal, like I've done in this one here. So we're going to do that kind of scene, but on this background, okay? So she's going to be leaning on that, and then we're going to have a little bunny just there. I mean, obviously, if you've got the mini frogs or the caterpillars, they're going to go. A lot of the mini animals are going to fit on the pedestal that she can be talking to, but on the show we've got the bunnies, so we're going to use this bunny here because he's the one that's facing that way. But you could have Nigel could be stood in there. You know, you could do lots and lots of things with the stone pedestal. So we need to figure out where we want to put everything. So the best thing to do is we're going to have the stone pedestal first of all. Yes, Judy's saying that she remembers at Ali Pali I sat next to Phil in the Creative Expressions row with Lisa on the other side, and you used to tell him off. Well, you know, he needs telling off, doesn't he? He's naughty. So let's think, where do we want this? So we're going to take the pedestal, and she's going to be leaning, and we're going to have a knee over slightly. So she's going to be like that. So you can see I put the acetate down and the stamp on top, and then I can pick up that stamp, because I'm doing it in this order because the stone pedestal I'm going to do in grey and Melia is going to be in black, so she's going to be on top of the pedestal. So let's pick out our Morning Mist. There's Fine Care. Which I have rinked with my rinker. And I would colour them in. I tend to use the for all of my colouring on both the papers and on this. This is the Sentimental Yours watercolour card, the hot press card. I do tend to use my my blending brush pens from Sentimental Yours because I just like using those pens. I've even got myself a second set because some of my pens, I think some of my pens must be 4 years old, and some of them, the ones I like the most, were running out a bit. So I treated myself to a full set of new ones so that I don't run out, because they're very hard to get now. Okay, so that's our stone pedestal. Then we're going to bring in Melia, and she's going to be leaning on that pedestal with her knee slightly over, and she's leaning on there. She could be leaning down there. No, we're going to have a leaning on the top bit there, I think. There's also there's a toadstool that is very good for Malia to lean on. It's just called Toadstool. It's one of the smaller stamps. So she's going to be in black. And remember, we're on watercolour cards, so I'm probably going to have to stamp it twice. Or maybe even 3 times, because the watercolour card just sucks the ink up, which is what we want when we're throwing loads of water and ink at it. But when you're stamping silhouette style stamps, it does make it a bit more of a challenge. So make sure it's really butted up into the corner. Did anybody go to Ali Pali last weekend? Ali Pali is run by Stamp Addicts now. Right, let's see how she is. And she's got lots of little dots on her wings there, which are really good to colour in with things like your Stardust pens. You know, just do the little dots, so it adds a little bit of glitter to her without being over the top. Obviously with the wings, I mean, I will colour it in. There obviously is Distress ink under there, so if you use any watercolour, you could actually pull that colour out if you wanted to. Just get a water brush and pull the colour out to do her wings. You don't have to use any pens. You could use glossy accents. You could use stickles are quite a nice thing to add as well. The stickles glitter glue. Obviously you could just use regular glue and add some glitter over the top as well. If I'm in a rush, I don't tend to do anything that's wet. I just tend to colour in and that's it. As I said, if you were using the paper pad, then you'd get that silhouette a lot easier. This I'm still going to have to go again. I mean, it looks pretty good on the camera, but where I'm looking at it, it's still quite blotty. In fact, what I'm going to do is actually just clean her off a bit. I think she's very dirty. She's not a dirty fairy. She's got glitter on her or something there. See if we can ink her book properly. I might need to ink again. I think it's just that we're going onto this watercolour card, which makes my life a lot harder. But I think it's worth seeing. But you know, you just make sure you're butted up into the corner. Let's see what you like. That's better. Not a lot, but it is better. Okay. She's beautiful, isn't she? Absolutely beautiful. And she's got those kind of pixie thingies as well. I'm assuming she's a pixie because she's got those. So she's not really a fairy. Because fairies don't have those. They're cool antennae, aren't they? It's pretty, isn't it, Bonnie? I love using my stencils. Sometimes it kind of lends itself to kind of quite a clean and simple card. Although you've stenciled, it's because you've still got white space around the outside. It's not as kind of in your face. So yeah, I do quite like it. And it's so easy to achieve. You know, it looks like you spent ages on it and you haven't. Okay, so little bunny. My little bunny from the Little Bunny set. So we're going to have him here. And I don't think he's listening to her. She's talking to him very softly, explaining to him that he can't keep stealing all of the vegetables from the farmer's patch, or from the dragon's field in this case, because, you know, the dragon's going to let off a bit of fire and he's going to get hurt. So he needs to bear that in mind. But instead of listening to her, he's looking at her antennae, because he's thinking, I could just jump off there. I wonder if I can ping over to the dragon's field, if I get such a good, you know, a really good grab hold of him. And as she's trying to flick me off, she'll flick me over to the field. I don't think he's listening to her at all. He's a naughty bunny. So this is Acorn Verse Fine Clare that I'm using for the bunny. Okay, there he is. Bonnie says she's making bunny masks this morning. What, for Easter? Soon come round, won't it? Isn't it about it's the middle of April, I think, isn't it? So yeah, about a month away. Right, it's actually bunnies. So let's have a sentiment from here, and let's have believe. Always believe something wonderful is about to happen. I think that's quite a good mantra, that one. And we have that coming off of the page a little bit because I like that. Put that up there a minute, like so. And this is one of those mixed font sentiments which are very forgiving, because you can get away with not having it 100% perfectly straight. I'll do that in black. And not, I was going to use that one, but I'm not. I'm using this one now. This is one of my favourite sentiments. This is stamp number 132. So I think this is one of the very first sentiment stamps that Fairy Fox did, because they didn't used to do sentiment stamps. Ed's got up. He's heard Nathan in the kitchen, so he probably thinks, oh, that's food time, which of course it isn't. I think that's good. Happy with that. So that's that card done. So you know, I'm not going to kind of fill in that white space by adding foliage all around the edges. I mean, you can if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it fairly clean and simple. So just one stencil, 4 stamps. So easy to achieve. Obviously, distress inks. Just to one side. Ah, dirty fingerprints. Anyhow, there we go. There's that one. That's all right, Christine. No problem. Face masks. Oh, the stamp mask. Oh, okay. Right, so that's number 2. Fingerprint. Drives me nuts. Right, I've got one more to show you. So just 3 today. I think Nathan's waiting to go out somewhere. Okie dokie. So with this one, we're using a paper from the Meadow Sparkle paper pad, which is the other paper pad that's on the show. So this one's got, it's one of those that's got the sort of texture going through it. So, but obviously it's perfectly flat for you to stamp on. And it's lots of, it's like they're like brusho type backgrounds, which obviously you have to wait for those to dry, and you know, they're just there to go straight away. So as before, 6x6, 24 double-sided sheets, easy to easy to use, 24 sheet designs, 2 sheets of each, 216 GSM, same old, same old. Right, so this is the one I picked out, I think. I did pick another one out, but then I saw this one, I thought we'll use that one. So I'm not sure, 100% sure it's going to work, but we'll see. So we've got a plan for this. So what we've got is we've got Nala, the other cat, and she's going to be walking in here. And Nigel is getting a lift. Nigel the mouse is getting a lift. He's sat on her back. I'm going to see if I can mask that tea bag off, because I don't actually want the tea bag this time. So they're walking up there, and they're actually heading up towards the castle. So the mini castle is going to be up here, I think. And then Cedric is coming in. So Nala's watching Cedric because there's something going on at the castle and they want it. In fact, let's put it on that red bit maybe. Something going on at the castle and Cedric wants to get there first. So I think we're probably going to have sparkle dust coming out somewhere, wherever it is. Sparkle dust. Where have you gone? Might have to be flutter dust if I can't find the sparkle dust. I got it out. So we might have some dust going on anyway. Right. And then we're going to have some bulrushes coming down the bottom, I think. And maybe a sentiment. So we might have the Every Day is an Amazing Adventure, which is why I think I need a lighter colour. Maybe we have this one. This might be better because we can see what we're dealing with a bit better. Yeah, then we can have that there, maybe. Okay, let's go for this side instead. So you've got choices. I like choices. Okay. That's all right, June. You can always watch back. So let's put this up into the corner. I've actually cut this one straight. I think I have. Well done, Julia. Okay. So let's go grab Nala first of all. I think we might do her in brown rather than black. And while we're at it, oh no, we do the castle in a minute. Let's do them one by one because then we can just concentrate on what we're doing. And you don't, when you're doing your stamping, you don't actually have to have them completely on the page. Like with this one, she's just coming in off of the edge. So don't think that you have to have the whole cat on there because you don't have to. So we'll do her in, shall we do her in grey? Let's do her in grey so she can be like one of Paola's cats, Kabuki, or what the other one's called. I can't remember what the other one's called. It might come out quite dark anyway, but we'll see. Remember, this is that kind of semi-coated paper, so it's more forgiving than if you're using your watercolour card. So we should get Nala first time. Yep, there she is. My nice grey cat. See her whiskers? She's got quite thick whiskers as our Nala. bushy whiskers. What's the matter, Ed? Looks like he's just got up, which he has. Okay. There's my bit from Nala. Amazing Cedric. If I don't put them away at the time, then I get in the right mess. So we're going to have the castle kind of on the hill here. So we've got all this dark green stuff going on. So let's have that. And we do have We also have the flying dragon, and we also have the flying owl as well, which work really well with the mini castle. You can also use the mini castle with the magical, what's it called? Magical keyhole. That's the one. Let's do the castle in grey as well, because castles aren't normally black, are they? They're normally grey. Don't forget, like I say, you can get the reinkers on my website for all the VersaFine colours except the Nocturne, because I'm sold out of that one. There we go, there's our castle. So that's our castle on the hill. Good old Ed Sheeran song, that. And let's bring in Nige. And he's going to be sat on her back, like so. So we'll link him up, and then we'll cover him up with some tape. There's the end. There's the end. So go over the tea bag there. I want a tiny bit more, just for there, like that, and then we stamp. Now what you have to remember is if we need to stamp again, which we might have to, you need to remove the tape, ink up, and then put the tape on again. It's very easy to forget about that and to ink up the tape. It's not going to work. Actually, it's pretty good. I don't think I need to. I think we're good. Let's just have him like that. Let me show you before I move him. I'll put that there a sec. Looks good. You can still see his tail, so I don't think we need to do that. Oh. Obviously you can't really use that tape again. It's good to hang on to it. You've got, because they're in the right place. If you want it to re-ink and stamp again, they're in the right place. If that makes sense. Not sure how much sense I'm making today. That's fine, June. You can always watch back later. In fact, I like it when people watch back later. It means my views go up. So you'll find me, that's me, Julia Watts Crafts, on YouTube, and also don't forget you'll find Bonnie's videos and a bunch of my videos on the Fairy Hug Store YouTube channel as well. And talking about Fairy Hugs, on Facebook, if you ask to join the Fairy Hug Store group, then you'll see lots of inspiration from the design team on there as well, and that's me. Okay, so let's bring Cedric now. You only want to come back in again, won't you? Out. Mind your tail. Right, so Cedric's coming in here, like so. And we do him in black. He's quite a big dragonfly. He was part of the Mini World collection, or he came out at the same time in the Mini World collection. There's also another dragonfly who's kind of sideways on, and she's called Fenella. on my website there is actually a separate main category on the main menu at the top that's for fairy hugs, and there's a little kind of drop down menu. You can see the little kind of V next to it, and if you click on that you'll see that I've split everything up into categories. So you've got your, obviously you've got your dies, and you've got your stencils, and you've got your stamps, but within the stamps you can look at animals, you can look at fairies, dragons, foliage, the books collection. So I've split it into lots of different sections to make it a little bit easier to find what you want. But then you can also just double tap on the fairy hugs item, or in the brand selection fairy hugs, and then you'll just see everything in date order, so the newest products are first. So if you want to scroll through everything, that's the way of looking. Trying to make it easier for you. Yeah, but Bonnie, you don't need to cut him apart, do you? Because you can just mask him off really easily, so you don't need to do that. It's not hard to mask him off. See, I wouldn't cut him apart. I mean, yes, I cut my Moondust apart, but I wouldn't bother cutting Nigel apart because it's not difficult. Because, I mean, that's, I'll show you again. I mean, that's perfect on the branch, you know, so you don't need to do that. And just because there's that little bow there, you can't really notice that. Okie dokie, so there's Cedric coming in. And where's my thingy for Cedric? There it is. So at the moment that's kind of floating in mid-air. I don't really like that. So what we could do is, yeah, there's various pathways that you can bring. There is a mini stone path that you can use, but then that will be floating a little bit. But we could do that. I wonder what I've done with that. The mini stone path isn't on the show. And this will be the first stamp I've used that isn't on the show. Oh, I wonder what the number is. It will be part of the mini selection. Here we go, mini stone wall, mini stone path. There we go. Don't they look nice? Don't they look nice? Look. Bring that so that doesn't look like it's floating quite so much. And do that in the morning mist as well. I must have moved it slightly, but that's fine. That's fine, I'll live with that. And I can always get a grey pen and extend it a little bit, but that's fine, that's fine. This is a little moat, we'll say it's a moat. Where's that? There we go. Got a bit of glitter on that. How did I get glitter on my stone pathway? That's the mini stone pathway. There is a normal stone pathway, which is bigger. But this is the mini one, and this works really well with all the mini houses. Put it in there for a minute. And how are we looking? Not too bad, not too bad. Let's have the Amazing Adventure, maybe. Let's have this perhaps up here. This is called Amazing. Every day is an amazing adventure. It sure is. Especially when you're playing with your fairy hug stamps. again. That's only part of my stash. Those are just all my tiny stamps. It is rather lovely to have. I think there's only 2 or 3 stamps I don't have from when Leonie did a Bondo special during the first year of Fairy Hugs. But yeah, I'm not missing very many at all. One of these days I'll fix it and I'll get the ones I'm missing out of my stock. Okay, so there's my amazing. And then we want to fill in a little bit. So what we'll do is I'll put that away. And what my sparkle dust. Let me see if I can find my sparkle dust. Because I've got more stamps in my pot now because I've used them all. There it is. Yay! Right. I'm going to have some bulrushes down below. And rather than flutter dust, I want to use sparkle dust. So these are just little tiny stars. Just tiny stars. Nice to have them up the right way though. And we do those. I don't want them really dark. There is the temptation to press too hard on these, and I've done that myself. But you don't need to. You see, there's only there they are, little tiny stars just to the left of the castle. So let's dot them around a little bit. I'll have some up there. So if you put them on the acetate, then you can move them around where you want them, and also you don't get ink where you don't want it. Have a couple up there. It's useful to have little tiny stamps. I'll just do one more. I'll just do 3. Perhaps we'll have one up here as well. It's getting near lunchtime, my stomach's rumbling. Let's have one there. So we've just got them around the sentiment. It kind of extends the sentiment a little bit. I'm just touching this really. I'm not pressing because I've made that error, which I was really miffed about. It's always the last one as well, where when you think, oh, I've finished now, and you end up making a mess. That way up. And then we'll just do some of the bulrushes. The bulrushes work really well with the Stream Scene, which I'm not sure if that's going to be restocked at Fairy Hugs HQ. There aren't any at the moment, so I haven't been able to restock myself. So let's have... In fact, I'm going to do... Let's just do... I'll do one just as it is, and then I'll do them with the block. Also will work well with the bridge as well. There's a bridge stamp. So this is Rainforest, which is a lovely deep green. I'm not going to go again. It's quite, it's got, if you look at the acetate, it's quite, it's got quite a lot of kind of etch detail on the actual stamp itself. So don't think you haven't stamped it properly. Even if you haven't, it doesn't matter. I don't need those black thistles on there, so let's use this. Get more ink all over my fingers, why not? I'm just going to move this around so that I can stamp freehand. Don't be frightened of having, you know, gaps here, there and everywhere, because it's absolutely fine. I know on the first card I went a little bit overboard. Right, so let's have, this will probably be a bit darker because it's second stamping. Yeah. He's playing with his toys now. I can hear him flying around the hall. We've got laminate falling, so he skids all over the place. So I have them kind of overlapping a bit. And you can even do second generation stamping if you want to. I'm not going to bother. So we have it so that Nyla's walking through the bulrushes. So we'll overlap her a little bit with old Nigel on her back. Because she's not frightened of getting bulrush seeds or wherever they are on her tummy. She's a bit of a rebel. Right, I think that's all I'm going to do on that one actually. Oh, you can't see, can you? Let's pull this out of the way. Yeah, and grab my one black piece of card because I've been mean and not cut more. So there we are. There's another scene with little stamps. Obviously, you know, colour them in and now pop a little bit more. On the camera you can't make out the words but as well, but you absolutely can in real life. So we've done 3 projects today. I will colour them in at some point and share them. So these are the 3 projects that we've done today. Let's pull that down a little bit so you can see. There. Overlap them a little bit. So as I said, don't forget you can find all the products on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, and with the stamps that are on the shows tomorrow, you can get 10% discount. That discount code is valid now. You put Hugs10 in the discount code box at checkout to activate your discount, and you'll see the amount that you're paying discounted. So if it isn't discounted, you haven't put it in the right place. It is a box that says discount code. And that offer is valid until midnight on Sunday the 19th of March, or while stocks last. As I said, I don't have deep stock because some of these are all older stamps that we're using. Also, you can find everything in stock at fairyhugs.com for worldwide shipping. But as I said before, if you're in the UK, do buy them from me rather than Fairy Hugs, because obviously I buy them from Fairy Hugs anyway, but then you don't incur any import duties, VAT or Royal Mail handling charges, which you do not want to pay because it is expensive and you might as well spend more money on your stash. And just to remind you that the shows are at 9 AM and 1 PM tomorrow on Create and Craft with Tanya. And thank you so much for watching, and do check out my other videos. Bye for now.